Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of Web3 and gaming culture. I'm your host, Arena T Ambassador Jim Kieran, and today we've got a great panel lined up for you. So you know the spiel. Grab your controllers, crack open a Mountain Dew, and prepare to get your game on. Let's go.
It's a pleasure.
Nah, you guys ain't escaping that easily. Welcome back, sauce enthusiasts. I'm glad to introduce our panel today. We have Graslow. If you do not know who he is, you guys are literally living under a rock because he's been on this show many, many times. He's building Old Door. How are you doing today, Graslow?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be here today. I'm recovering from the post-GDC flu that everyone seemed to get.
Yikes. And then we have Mikhail with us again, and she's not under wraps anymore. As you can see, she's wearing a Forgotten Playland shirt.
Woo!
She has joined the Forgotten Playlands team. How are you doing today, Mikhail?
Oh man, I'm doing so good. Also, I don't know, I might have a little something, but I think I might have beat it. I started to get sick after GDC, and I think I'm, so fingers crossed, doing pretty well. I'm very excited to be back on the Block Sauce. Can't wait for today's discussion.
And Mikhail drug along their CEO. We have Bram with us today. How are you doing today, Bram?
That's quite a title.
Founder, CEO, aren't they the same?
Pretty much, I guess so. Yeah, no, I'm doing great. Similar to Graslow, everybody is just recovering from GDC at this point, right? I mean, if it's not the jet lag, it's the flu, or just the combination of the both. But I'm happy to be here. So yeah, looking forward.
Well, I'm glad to have you guys here today. Now, I know it wasn't on our list, but we're going to open this up with essentially breaking news. For those that haven't heard yet, which I wouldn't be surprised because this is pretty recent, SBF did get sentenced 25 years and $11 billion in forfeiture.
Ka-ching.
Yikes.
Let me get a mill.
Yeah, SBF, if you got that much, can you throw us a mill each? I feel like it's just a drop in the pond, right? For somebody that's got 11 billion?
Yikes.
At that point.
Well, had 11 billion.
Yeah. But
go
ahead. No, I just wonder, how do we gauge whether it's long enough? And is jail the correct punishment for people, or should they have to work all their life and repay people? Is there something better we can do than just throwing people away in jail? Because I don't even think 25 years sounds like enough for the amount of people that he rugged, This is, what's his name that went to jail for the pyramid scheme? Bernie, whatever his name is.
Bernie Madoff?
Yes, Madoff.
But he said he was sorry, guys.
Well, okay, I accept.
Yeah, I can't get my bags back with a sorry, I'm afraid.
We should let him go do more financial schemes to pay back all the people that he financially schemed the first time.
Well,
it's a pyramid scheme behind a pyramid scheme, and just continues, right?
If I've learned anything, when he gets out, he's just going to be very successful at whatever he does. Because that's just how we reward people for financial crimes. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Look, this might be a hot take, but compared to some of the systems that we have in the U.S., I feel like he scammed us for a lot less than most. I'm just saying.
Our government.
Not even just our government, healthcare systems, for example. Anyway, I think this.
Here we go again, Jinky.
Well, I think it's good that there is enforcement being done in the crypto space because that does give us a little bit more legitimacy when these bad actors are taken down. And hopefully this is one of those we're going to make an example of you situations, and further people who may have had some shady ideas decide to abandon those ventures for the risk of losing everything and going to jail for a very long time. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, 25 years isn't that long. Look, I did 6 years in the Army, and 6 years was a long time. 25 years in jail, I'm willing to bet that's going to be a long time to him. That's assuming he even makes it the full 25 years. Because if anybody in that prison he gets sent to got their bags pulled by him, he might not make it 25 years.
Yeah, that's not cool, really.
This could be a new Netflix series. So get it.
How old is he now, and how old will he be when he gets out if he makes it?
He's 32 right now, so he would be 57. Yeah,
it's like the best years of your life. That's what you get.
Is anything after 30 the best years of your life though?
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
I recently turned 40, and I'm so much happier. So I just don't care as much. The older you get, the less you care. And it's just like your experience of life just gets much deeper and richer. Well, I'm shilling my bags. We'll
see what happens. But I'm just saying, I think a Netflix series where SBF rugs some people, this dude that gets rugged starts having to turn to crime to support his family, goes to jail, and then SBF ends up meeting him in jail, and that dude just goes ham on him. I'd watch that. I'd watch it.
Is there an SBF token yet? Is there a meme coin on Sol that I can buy?
Let's not talk about that.
It's coming.
Oh my God.
It'll be out today.
The coin launches on Solana are.
Keep your eyes out.
That's a whole nother topic. Let's not bring it up right now. They're getting drugged through the mud, and in my opinion, rightfully so. I'm all for decentralization, but I do think that there's a level of moderation that should come into play, and that's kind of where I do respect Ronin a little bit, because they are very picky about who they let use their chain.
Yeah.
I think it says more about
decentralization isn't about that. So
I think it says more about us, though. Like I think we kind of police that ourselves, and when everybody puts their money in it, and gives it that attention, that's the unfortunate part.
Well, speaking of people losing money, we also have Munchables, who thankfully since has recovered, but initially lost over $60 million.
This story was crazy. So from what I read, the insider dev was tied to North Korea, and then they were able to convince this dev to return the funds, and I guess because there's a potential that it could have been rolled back, it probably couldn't get it to exchanges or whatever. But I think there's a real eye-opening thing here, and we see this a lot. Like when you get to know like some of these teams that are very scrappy and fast moving, there's not a lot of experience and there's not a lot of vetting. And so you end up with these very risky kind of positions. And for the like crypto investor, there doesn't seem to be a lot of due diligence to separate teams that have that like industry experience, life experience, business experience from those that are just like, hey, I see this crypto thing is popping off. Let me start a startup, raise millions of dollars with absolutely no idea what to do with it or how to protect it, how to properly invest it, So yeah, we just continue to see this kind of stuff.
I view it as like scratch offs, right? Like meme tokens are like scratch offs. You have a better chance of winning on a meme token than you do at a casino. I'm getting my deck rebuilt right now because of a Solana shitcoin. Like thanks Solana, right?
Okay, Mikhail, I need you to hit me in the DMs and give me the alpha, because I'm not making that kind of money. I can't get my
well,
deck
that's why you don't like it. That's why you don't like it. You got to get in the alpha chats. But there's like, and I lose money on them a lot too. This is just, and that's just what it is to me though. I could go spend like a couple hours at a casino, which I don't like straight up gambling. I just always lose. I think it's rigged, the casino, whatever. I would much rather like take my chances that I'm buying into a project that eventually builds something cool that becomes like a real chain over the course of time. And I like watching for that. So I also want to point out, if anybody, you've got to have like a thick stomach or whatever the word is. Did you guys see Beeple's painting or his digital graphic of the Munchables? Go to Beeple's page right now.
Oh no.
Oh. Do I want my history to know about this?
It'll just be on Twitter. It's on Twitter. Go to Twitter, Beeple. It's
Wait, which one?
Oh, let me find it. It's going to be the one where there's food laying all around him on the ground.
He's got a lot of memes. Oh my
I know.
gosh.
You see it?
No, I don't see it, but I'm seeing a lot of other things, and I'm like, whoa, this
People's
dude
horrible,
is.
man.
Yeah, he is horrible.
Jesus.
I don't
He
like
might have
anything I've
deleted
seen
it.
so far.
Yeah, he might have deleted it. It was
Yeah,
pretty
I can't find
bad.
that specific
I'll
one.
describe offline if you guys are curious
I
to
just
know
saw
what
it.
it looks like. Okay, yeah.
I think I saw it as well.
Oh my
By the way, I'll be
gosh.
at Beeple next month if anybody wants to meet. I love him.
I mean, there's a few things here. Some people are saying that they deserve to get rugged for throwing a bunch of money at this project with no real information. And it got me thinking, when I traded stocks, I didn't really look past the news, or I didn't go see who the CEO was. I didn't try and check who the developers were. I just went based off of headlines. And I think that's what a lot of stock traders do, is they watch the news, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's really hard for me to feel like people deserved it, even though I don't agree with the whole like gambling meme coin thing. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, I gamble every time I bought a stock. It can go up, it can go down. You don't know. Find out next time.
That's kind of the point of not to defend the SEC, but that's kind of their whole point, right? Is to ensure that publicly traded companies comply by these rules, that they comply by accounting standards, that they do all of these things, so that if you do buy a stock, you don't have to do your own research, other than obviously knowing what they do would be helpful. But I mean, you can just buy them, and you can be assured that they're not just committing open fraud. Whereas like in crypto, it's completely unregulated. Well, not completely, but it's quasi-regulated.
Well, I think say it's like a necessary part of the market. And like, what would happen if we didn't have all the regs? Like, that's how he would look at it, right? I just view it at like, do I walk up to a slot machine and say like, I want to see all the records of payouts, and I want to know that, I just go gamble to have fun. I have fun with meme coins. I think they're fun. I don't, I'm not going to get upset. I don't get mad when it rugs 30 minutes in, right? Like, it's literally fun. And sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And then the rest of my trading, I take seriously. I don't consider that trading.
I think this is also a good, what was it? I don't know the word. I think this is a good example. We'll go with that as to why you should probably verify, double check, and really look into your developers, because this isn't just a regular game, right? This isn't something where somebody can sneak in a bug or try to maliciously like make the game play bad. This is literally playing with people's money, including your own, no less. So
yeah.
you
so
really
like
need to have
Machi just raised, I think it was like 32 million within the first 6 hours for his. No, we don't know who the dev is. The less information degens have, the more they ape. Like, for some reason, it's like the mystery around it. It could be the next big thing. So I'm all in.
Yeah, that's the thing for me, is I'm a product person. Show me a product, and then I'll buy in. And I don't know, maybe my mentality is why I stay poor. But at the same time, it's like, well, I don't have the funds to just lose throwing it at some random project. Now, if you show me like, I don't know, recently, let me use Web3 gaming as an example. If I play a demo, for example, I played Nien Heroes, because obviously they launched their playtest this week. I went to their market immediately and was like, oh, well, I want to buy in, because I played the game. I got a taste of what they're building, and then I want to spend money. I do not understand this mentality of let's throw money at air and hopefully something comes from it. And I think it is purely people looking to try and flip, and, the degen behavior that you were mentioning, because everybody's just trying to make a quick buck. But I don't think that's healthy for the space. And I think that a lot of projects end up suffering because of it.
Decentralized gambling.
Look, hey, those platforms, they're doing well, okay?
I just hear gambling a lot in the last 3 minutes. I don't know anymore.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It is a form of gambling. Even if I go to CSGO and I buy a skin hoping the price goes up, that's gambling, because I don't know if it's going to go up.
I mean, that's just all across the board in that case, right? I mean,
Plus, think about these mints. They're essentially loot boxes, which are classified as gambling across a lot of the world. I'm not going to say a percentage because I don't know, but I do know that there's a lot of countries that ban that, and I'm surprised mints haven't been banned yet in those territories. But we may see that action come later. But I don't know. I don't mind the degen mentality. I don't mind it. I'm more concerned about whether or not this is healthy for us as a space, just because, I mean, imagine this project that raises all this money off of a mint because everybody degen and aped in whatever. So now they've got some runway, right? And they think that they're doing good and things are going great, but then they get further down the line and they need more funding. Well, how do they go about doing that? You have to convince the degens to ape in again, or hope that you get investors. Hopefully by that point you have a product, and then you can convince the people like me. Fingers crossed. Yeah. But I feel like unless you can continuously get those degens to keep aping in, eventually it's just going to taper off, and then you're gonna have runway struggles. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? Like, we're kind of catering to the wrong audience. We're catering to that temporary funding versus the long-term funding.
And it does kind of incentivize teams to focus on the wrong things, because many people have openly said that, like, Overworld and other games, like, if they were to actually release a game or release gameplay, it would hurt them. And so think about the incentives there. Like, do you even want to develop a game if everyone is telling you that actually releasing a game would hurt the price of your assets?
Apes are telling Bored Apes to stop doing stuff. They're like, just stop, just vibe, like, stop doing all these initiatives because our floor's been tanking since you started actually building.
They're just salty that Pudgy's flipped them.
Yeah, probably fair.
Well, I think they did at one point. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yeah, I don't think they're still up, but yeah, they did.
But yeah, I don't know. Because Bram, Grazlo, you guys are obviously founders. Like, what is your opinion? Like, the short term versus the long term. How is the degen behavior here for you guys?
Well, I mean, I'll say, to me, it's two different audiences. We've got the Web 2 audience, which is like we're trying to pull in gamers, and that's your typical, like, whale, dolphin, minnow gamers that have their own, like, revenue models. But then in Web 3, you have, yes, there are gamers, but, like, predominantly Web 3 customers are degens, and they have a whole different mentality. They want whole different kinds of information. The marketing to them, what you expect to make off of them, like, it's totally different. And I think our job is to think about, like, if we're going to be a 10-year plus company, how are we going to appeal to that larger group of Web 2 gamers, but in the short term, get funding and runway from the audience that's here now.
Well said.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, especially if you're truly building for both audiences, right? I mean, the more traditional Web 2 games that are being built, just in general, I mean, they have, what is it, like a 3 to 5 year development cycle, just behind closed doors, without any information going out, except for maybe some leak at some point, or the ones that you actually know are coming, like GTA 6 you knew 10 years in advance. But I mean, with Web3, you kind of, if you're creating a similar game, the community that you want to build want to come along for the journey for those 3 to 5 years, and that is a completely different mentality that I've learned over the course of the past years as well. It's completely different to cater to. it's just
When moon.
Exactly. No, you say that, but I was in a playtest before this for a game that has no in-game assets yet. It's not publicly launched. It's not available. It's not even, like, I don't even think it touches the blockchain yet. And somebody in the Discord's first comment was, "Oh, well, is there a bridge? How do I move my assets around? Does it support Gala?" Bro, it's a playtest. Get in, play the game, give us some feedback. Shut the hell up. I'm sorry to be so.
I mean, but that's also with the Web3 audience, right? I mean, they're all over the board. Some just want everything right now. Some are willing to wait a week or a month.
But it was a closed invite-only playtest. They knew what they were joining into. This is so early that it's not even.
I mean, you can try, right? I mean, who knows? Maybe there was some additional alpha. Is it?
Oh my gosh. No, I get it. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's two different worlds. And obviously my foot is primarily in the gaming world. It doesn't necessarily mean Web 2 or Web 3. I just like to play games and I see how the technology helps. So my focus isn't there. My focus is how can I convince projects to utilize the technology better? Whereas a lot of people are like, money go up. I want money go up. And it's like, oh, like, yeah, I want to have that mentality. I wish I could, because then maybe I wouldn't be so broke all the damn time. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's a morals thing. Maybe it's because I grew up a certain way or I've been exposed a certain way that I'm looking at this like, hey, no, this is a gray area. And I can't align with that thought process. So when I see this, I'm like, no, go find somebody else to play test your games, please. And the reason I use this as the example, the reason I'm picky about who is testing games and who is giving feedback is big time. I bought in very early on, but recently they did their whole economy launch, right? I want to say it was probably like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, somewhere around there. And there's nothing that really contributed to the gameplay for me as a gamer. But why did they implement this? I asked, and it's, oh, well, our players asked for it. Well, yeah, because the only players that could play your game spent $2,000 buying a freaking pass to play it. Of course they want their money back.
They need exit liquidity.
Like, why are you listening to the people that spent thousands of dollars hoping to get money back? Why not listen to the gamers so you can get people into play and buy more stuff?
It's the wrong way to fundraise for your game, right? Minting assets like far before that you've delivered anything or really have much of that kind of economy built out and a reason for them to mint and hold these things. Like, it's just wrong. Like, I love, just Duckland Games, right? They fundraised before, they were building the whole time, and then they go to market and they have a game ready. Like, that's what we should be doing. That is like what we should be I think it's what works best in this space.
So isn't Munchables like trying to make some Web3 esports platform? Isn't that what they were going for?
I just saw pictures of fries. I have no idea.
It's definitely gaming related, but I'm not following the project closely.
My first thought is like, don't we already have enough Web3 esports platforms? Like, isn't that what everybody's doing at this point?
They're trying to.
Why?
They're just repeating what, it's like there's not a whole lot of imagination in this space. People tend to copy what works, and that's why we have these metas that will boil up, speed up, reach peak, blow off top, and then they're gone. And nobody talks about them again until there's some other project that starts another meta, and then we're back, right? But it's usually only the one project that built through, like, I can't get on camera, but this, and they're there when it comes back, and then it's all new actors, right? Then everybody capitalizes on the success that this new game or this new esports, and then everybody wants to do it all over again. It's not healthy, but like, how do we organize this online economy? Like, how do you supply and demand? How do you even know what demand is? It's not like Web 2. We don't have all the same metrics that we can look at.
To have demand, first you need to have players, which most of these games
Novel
don't
idea.
have. They're like, oh, but the economy players. Well, yeah, then you're just you're basically just wash trading at that point. Like, you're just circulating assets amongst the people who are buying and trading constantly. Where are the players? They are the ones that are going to be buying these and be actual income, in my opinion.
I will say in Web 2, you can judge like your demand before you have a game, but you can't do that in Web 3, because in Web 2, like, you can look at wish lists, you can look at, social sentiment, because gamers don't have an incentive to really, like, engage with your game, to go comment on YouTube and everything. But in Web 3, like, we have bags, and everyone they're bullish on your game, and it's not their genre, or they're not even gamers, and it's really hard to gauge that sentiment. Like, when you put out a trailer, even when you put out a playtest, people play the game, and their thoughts, their views are biased based on whether they own it, and because Web 3 is so small, like, whether they want to work for the company someday. Like, I mean, there's a lot of that happens. And so I think founders, we have to be really careful about that kind of feedback. And we need people like you, Jen Kieran, who tell it like it is and don't get that bias, because, it's humbling and keeps us grounded.
Jinky,
Well-
yours is one of the only opinions I respect in the space, by the way, because you are so principled. So I know it's keeping you poor, but we all appreciate it. Maybe we should start a donation thing for Jinky.
No. But
just a tip page, a tips. We'll call it tips.
the reason this is concerning to me, though, is like the whole throwing money at air. I get it. Everybody wants money. Everybody wants to make money. But I feel like we're going to lose more and more genuine player interest, because even in Web 2, gamers are starting to support early access less. They're starting to support Kickstarters less. And it's because even in Web 2, games are rugging players. Spellbreak is one that I bought a $300 Founders Pass for. I think it shut down within a year. I got maybe a year's worth of time out of it, and then it shut down. Breach was another one that I got to play, and then it shut down. Amazon's not Crucible. No, I think it was Crucible. They had like a MOBA that they were working on. It didn't even leave open beta before they shut it down. Like, so gamers are starting to get really hesitant to just throw money at air and support upcoming projects, and I feel like that will translate to Web3 quite easily, especially with the skepticism already in place regarding crypto and Web3 technologies. So I don't know if there's a good solution here. I really don't. I understand games need to cater to both audiences, and Web3 is a lot of money. Like you can get a full game. We're going to talk about raises here in a minute. You're going to hear some crazy numbers. So clearly there's money being thrown at this space. But I just don't think we're going to get the gamers to genuinely care just yet. That's why I'm all about product first. And I was actually talking in a Discord call before this. I've been posting both positive and negatives regarding certain Web3 games. And I've had Web2 people like flat out tell me, hey, I appreciate that you're showing this because you're approaching it from a gamer perspective. Like you can break it down in terms that a gamer can understand, and then they can, make their decisions from there. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to be that bridge, because I don't want this to just be Web3. I don't want to just be playing the economy game against other degens. I want to play the actual game with actual players. If I happen to partake in the economy, it's because you got a good dang game. And I say this as somebody who has played. I had a friend who sold World of Warcraft characters. I personally have sold mobile accounts. If a game is fun, I can sit there and grind the heck out of it and find a way to make profit off of my time. Even in Web 2, I don't need Web 3 for that. Web 3 is just kind of making it less gray area. So
yeah,
and I appreciate that. And that's kind of how I pitch to people, is like, this is a way to cater to players who would typically be going to black markets and make it more transparent. Now you are safer. I say safer, not safe, because you still have to kind of be aware of what you're doing and be careful, because there are scams even on the Web 2 black markets.
Well, and my nephew's account got shut down last month in Fortnite. He traded something or bought some gold on a black market site, and they shut down his account. So you also have that risk, right? Like Web3 doesn't do that. I just think we're shifting. The Web 2 is very much the illusion of ownership. Even the digital content that we purchase, we don't, and I used to.
Oh, it's in the terms of service. Everybody knows they don't own it.
Oh, yeah. Do they? Because that's in bold print at the top. Yeah. I never knew that. No, I used to go buy the $60 game, right? I could take it back to GameStop. I could get a trade-in credit and buy a new game. Web 2 has gotten so greedy. They should have given some value to players, but instead they're like, ooh, look at this opportunity to sell more copies, because there will be no copies available on a secondary market. Like, we can control this. And I think, eventually Web 2 gamers are going to see that if we do it right and quit buying meme coins on Solana, I guess.
I would agree with that, especially as we see these companies start to push digital only. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up on that, but a lot of the consoles are starting to remove disk drives. Now, they do have a disk option, but I don't know how long that's going to hold out, because initially that wasn't the case. There was a lot of lashback that involved them bringing the disk drive option back. So I don't know. I want gamers. It sucks to say this. I kind of want gamers to suffer the Web 2. You don't own long enough for the light bulb to go off and be like, oh, that's why Web 3 is doing this, because now I can get some return back. Like, yeah, I might not get the full $60 value back, but guess what? GameStop ain't paying me $60 back anyway. They're giving me $8.
Yeah.
Even if I make $8, that's $8 I didn't have after I bought the game. So,
and you just feel better about it, right? Like, I paid for this, so I own it, and I should be able to sell it if I want. That's how we have.
even more so with like physical discs, you can pretty much boot the game up whenever, right? I mean, with these online stores, the platforms can just disable the download. Like, cool, thanks. I don't have it anymore now.
Yeah. And when servers shut down and everything, like
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if it ever evolves. Like I said, I have my concerns. I feel like the only way we're going to see more genuine interest is to kind of alleviate the culture that we've developed here and kind of bring it back more in line with expectations as a game industry. But I don't know if that's even possible. I really don't think it is.
I mean, we're attached to crypto, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, is there going to be a point where the two kind of separate and the gaming angle is less bags pumping, tokenomics and whatever, and like we're just true ownership? Like, I don't, we'll see how it matures. But right now we are in bed fully with crypto and share an audience.
See,
so that's the difficulty. Go ahead.
You just threw an idea in my head. I think you're onto something there, because I think what's going to happen is over time, as these games release, these market traders, the ones that are trying to make money off the market, are going to realize that gamers aren't paying these prices. They're not going to sell. They're going to have to start lowering prices. They're going to realize that they're going to either A, lose a lot of money, or B, they're going to probably break even, maybe some play to earn shenanigans, go farm, whatever, build their pyramid schemes, whatever the case is. So I don't think the earning potential in the actual game world is going to be as big as they think it is, and they're going to start pulling back more. They're going to start looking at other things like AI, for example. We saw a big AI boom last year, which did take a lot of funding from Web3 gaming and kind of shifted over to the AI market. So I think that you're going to eventually get to the point where games are sustainable and they have the correct audience, but it's going to take a lot more releases and a lot more people who are in here strictly for the money to lose their money.
Yeah.
That's just my guess. Because yes, CSGO, people are like, oh, look how much people are paying. Yeah, but how often do those items sell for those prices? That's the real question. Like, yeah, they can sell something for $150 million and it was some cool skin, but is that happening every day or even every week or even every month?
Not even real sales, right? I mean, it's probably just like the NFT space pumping their numbers up, trying to bring attention.
Some people have said that there was money laundering involved.
Yeah.
And I could see that.
Yeah.
I could. So I'm not going to say one way or another. I'm not educated on the whole CSGO market and the backside of things. But I do know that some platforms are now using NFTs to kind of indicate these trades and stuff like that. I forgot what it was, but they're kind of, it's not directly like CSGO Web3, but it's like a trading platform to more safely buy and sell these skins. I don't know. I don't understand how it makes it more safe. I don't know. Just join Web3. Just make it on chain. Be done with it. Well, you got to realize
now they feel stupid in Web2, right? So they're not going to come around to crypto. They're going to like find their and they're going to call it something else, but it's going to be crypto.
CSGO will never go Web3 because Valve has their own market and they do not want to lose their money.
I'm sure. What are you going to say, Bram?
No, I was just saying, I mean, yeah, you just easily add an API call to your game and you're on chain, right? I mean, that's how easy it is.
Totally.
5 minutes done.
But moving into the next topic, this is not Web3 related, but it is gaming related. Take-Two Interactive has acquired Gearbox from Embracer Group. Now, Embracer Group, if you're not familiar with them, big investor group in the Web2 space. They buy into a lot of game companies, and recently they've actually been shutting down a lot of studios. So apparently it's not working out for them either. That's why, again, I was saying earlier, I think that people are going to lose a lot of money in this space before they realize this isn't like a huge, I'm going to get rich quick scheme. But them selling the studio, I think, is actually good. For two reasons. One, Gearbox, if I remember correctly, the history of Gearbox, they were originally under Take-Two. So they're going back home. That's I think everybody can agree that's much better than being shut down. On top of this, Take-Two is now getting rights back to the Borderlands series, Tiny Tina, among quite a few others. Let's see, there's a little bit of a list here. Yeah, Duke Nukem, Homeworld, Risk of Rain, which is Risk of Rain,
This was a
and Brother
big
in
sale,
Arms.
though. 460 million.
Yep.
Was the price. So yeah, and there's the Borderlands movie coming out. So I mean, this is really valuable IP.
I agree.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this is a good thing. I want to see less of these investment portfolios and more genuine game companies in gaming. Like in Tencent, for example, is another one that has their hands everywhere, but they've got hella money, so I don't think that they're going to have any problems. But Embracer Group has kind of turned into a meme in the Web 2 industry, and I think it was there was some game show awards recently or Twitch show awards, and like all the developers and stuff were ragging on the Embracer Group, while one of the people from Embracer Group were sitting in the audience, and the look on the dude's face was just like, God dang it.
I mean, what do you expect, right? First, you're in the news for like a year and a half by buying, what is it, like 200 different studios all across the world. Like,
and then you end up in the news for shutting them all down.
I'm building my bags here, It's like, and then when you realize maybe you overinvested, you start shutting them down and just selling them and all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously you become a laughing stock, right? I mean.
But this
invest with some logic.
Well, you would like to believe that investing with logic makes sense, but we also have Microsoft, who bought up Activision Blizzard and then turned around and laid off like 2,000 employees because it wasn't profitable. Well, duh, it wasn't profitable. You literally just bought the company.
I mean, but that happens everywhere. I mean, it happened with Twitter or X as well. I mean, it's
well, X is everywhere. A little different situation. Let's be honest. Musk's opinion of Twitter staff was already negative. He went in to burn it down to the ground.
Gotcha.
Plus he got stuck with the deal. He tried to back out, and it was too late when he tried to back out. So he was just trying to find a way to cut costs. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The first thing he did was fire everybody and start finding ways to monetize every aspect of Twitter. It was definitely a cost-cutting, let's get my money back situation.
Yeah, but I think it's good for creators. I mean, I'm happy with the changes. I'm happy. We can talk about this.
We'll talk about it after I can raise my hand in Twitter Spaces on desktop, and when they stop compressing my video and picture quality into oblivion. Then we can talk about how beneficial it is for creators.
You either get to lay off 80% of your employees or you get new features. You can't get both.
You can't get both.
Oh.
But how do you bring me new features with no employees? That's why everything he releases is bugged or broken.
Well, the only thing I'll say about Gearbox is I met a couple of their execs at some gaming event a couple of years ago, and I tried to onboard them into Web3. They wouldn't have even had to sell if they would have just come with me then. So they deserve it. I hope they get fired. Those two guys in particular.
You're talking about Gearbox. We're talking about Embracer Group. Gearbox, I love Gearbox, and
they were actually very nice, and they were curious. They were crypto curious. They just didn't come down the rabbit hole with me.
Well, think about all the series that I listed. How would they even implement Web3 into these games? Because most of them are single player experiences. Risk of Rain being an outlier.
Talked about it quite a bit internally. I don't think it would have been maybe new releases, new titles incorporating something like the Ubisoft approach. They have their own. The guy, whoever the creative director of Ubisoft is, I talked to him maybe 6 months ago, and I guess they got like 7 titles, and they're allowed to build whatever they want and do whatever they want in Web3, but they have to fund it from like Web3 funds. They're like, Ubisoft proper is not paying for anything. So we're funding the Web2 development, the Web2.
They're self-funding.
Coming into the space, yeah.
Well, to your point, Mikkel, then I know why they turned you down, because Embracer Group wasn't about to give them money, clearly.
Okay, fine.
They'd have to develop a whole new IP and off of Web3 money? Oh my gosh, so much work. How are they going to hire the devs to do that? Embracer Group ain't giving them money for that either.
It is so funny though, talking about, like Bram's point about overinvesting. Like if you just look back at the COVID period and, everybody was home, work from home, gaming a lot, gaming companies were soaring. And this was also the time where like Meta is teasing, Oculus and their future stuff. And, they had just like changed their name to Meta, right? Like the future is the metaverse. So we were trying to hire devs at the time, and you couldn't get devs anywhere. You couldn't hire temporary devs. You couldn't hire part-time. I mean, they were just like gone. And Facebook was hiring like devs by the thousands all over the world. And you were competing with all these game companies that were getting funded by Embracer Group and others, and it's like, there's just going a rampage, like building game companies. And now we're seeing the kind of like aftermath of that. Like we overextended, let's, cut back, and it's pretty drastic.
Typical degens. Trading on leverage.
That's what I want less of, though. It's already happening in Web 2. I don't want this shit in Web 3. Damn it.
It's just it is a human tendency. It doesn't matter if it's Web 2 or Web 3. We just want more. Yeah.
We
like
only
I
do
wouldn't even
things
argue
to
it's human
excess.
tendency. It's business.
yeah.
Follow
And
the money.
greed. Like everyone, like the individuals running the business are, driven by, some people are driven by greed. And so greed tends to, you fly too close to the sun, your wings melt.
Yeah, that's true. We had another topic. I seem to have lost it.
Wax,
Wax.
something?
Yeah, Wax and Amazon Web Services. So they're calling this a partnership. I've seen the word partnership in every article that I've read. However, when it comes to AWS, I feel like partnership is kind of a marketing term at this point. I feel like anybody can get partnered with AWS. So I would have to know more about the actual like background details, but from the front end, apparently they signed a deal that will allow Wax to integrate its network into the Amazon managed blockchain service. Now, I know nothing about this Amazon managed blockchain service because this is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah. So
Anybody know anything about it?
I haven't used it myself, but yeah. So Amazon's recently like launched this managed blockchain service where you can spin up nodes for your blockchain. So I mean, it's basically like adding a version of Linux to their their backend or something, and or whatever version of an operating system. So they're doing this for blockchains, and of course they probably start with the most popular ones. And I don't know like if money's changing hands on these partnerships, or
They always
to kind of
are.
speed that up.
Every time a game announces they're going on a chain, it's because money changed hands. I'm sorry.
But in practicality, like it is good for developers. If you're on Wax and you wanted to spin up a node and control it yourself, it's a lot easier when it's a managed service from AWS. But otherwise, I mean, it's not meaningfully affecting anything else. It's just it's helpful for devs that are building on that ecosystem, I think.
Well, I'm gonna unfortunately rain on their parade. I don't know of anything on Wax that I want to play. Forge Arena. Forge Arena.
I saw in the CoinDesk article, Wax is the 10th largest blockchain in terms of activity.
What?
For what?
Your guess is as good
Excuse
as
me?
I'm not using
Google it.
Wax, so 10th largest blockchain in terms of activity.
I
That
have
is a
questions.
tough
What other game? Because Forge Arena is literally the only one I know building on Wax. So what do they have going over there? What are they cooking that's driving activity? Is this just wash trading again?
Mikkel, are there Wax meme tokens? Is that the thing?
No, I'm not
New
seeing
meta?
anything. It says it's the most proven Web3 ecosystem for games, guys. You
there
are
you go.
all wrong. DAP Radar said so. Sure, they paid $10,000 for that article. Half the articles that people read in Web3, just so you know, they're like paid media. They're not like independent journalists coming to report on the blockchain.
And not to make an accusation specifically at Wax or anything, but a lot of these metrics can be gamed, obviously. Like if your gas fees are non-existent or there's something where it's going to yourself, then you could just easily manufacture a bunch of transactions, and now you're the most,
So we got to
use blockchain.
We got a comment from our friend Golden Glowmaster. There's a lot of games on Wax. I'm sure there are, but the fact I haven't heard of them tells me that they probably aren't that great. I can have a lot of games on iOS
Tell us
and
one
the
that's
Google
great,
Play Store.
yeah.
That doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear some names.
Like literally the only one I've seen of quality that I know is building on Axe is Forge Arena, and their market and everything actually is impressive. But they're moving slow, and I think that's kind of what's causing them to go under the radar. They're supposed to be like having this big Unreal Engine 5 port and yada yada yada, and I still haven't seen it. This was supposed to happen like a year ago, and they're still working on getting the Unreal Engine 5 port done. So until I see something banger from Wax, I'm gonna keep bragging on it. I don't care I don't care if they're a top 10 chain. To me, they are non-existent until I have a reason to use it.
We deliberately made the choice at Sedona to not pursue BD on the chain. So
I'm looking at a list from DAP Radar by volume, and I'm not recognizing a lot of these. Alien Worlds, #1, Taco Studios, NFT Battle Miners. So, and the volumes are low. So I'm not sure if DAP Radar is just not picking up accurate volume, or if something else is going on the chain.
Maybe it's the NFTs. Maybe it's just the economy side. Maybe it's not the games themselves. Maybe it's just NFT trading. I don't know.
Word silence.
Nobody knows. This is all speculation.
It's a mystery.
Nah, I do. Their onboarding sucks, but once you get onboarded and kind of know how to use the chain, it isn't terrible. But the onboarding was the worst experience I've had in all of Web3, and I hope I never have to go through that onboarding experience again, because you can't just spin up a wallet and use it. No, you have to like go buy this NFT to even verify in Discords, but that NFT is too big for your wallet because their wallet has a resource limit. So then you have to go stake wax to increase your resource limit on. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Your wallet is literally restricted by how much you stake.
It's gamified wallet creation.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this has changed. I haven't touched wax in probably a year and a half, but that was my experience. Their wallet is based on how much you stake. So you can only hold X amount of NFTs unless you stake more wax. And I think that is the dumbest thing ever. Just my opinion. So if you love wax, I'm sorry, guys. You're not going to make me a believer until the onboarding is at least improved. But even then, we still need fun games. I'm sorry. But I don't again,
doesn't see this.
Yeah, back to the original topic, though. I do think that this isn't necessarily a partnership. I'm willing to bet this is a systems as a service situation where they're essentially just paying for the service that's being provided. And to call it a partnership, again, I think it's just marketing lingo. I think people are trying to hype it up because wax did increase, based on the article that I'm currently reading on CoinDesk, increased 20% over the course of a day. So, meh. And apparently, after the announcement, it only went up 6% more. So, but then it dropped. Of course, because the 20% rise wanted to hurry up and cash out. They bought the dip. Now they're selling at the top, and it's going to go back down. And they're going to buy it all over again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What about Arbitrum with their $400 million game fund?
Arbitrum's a weird situation. I've seen a few games attempt to build over there, but one, they're not getting any traction, and two, Arbitrum was really weird for me to figure out because the token, like, it wasn't a 1-to-1, like you have to transfer the token then convert it, and it's like, why do I have to bridge and then do this and then that? They're getting a lot of traction,
but they're throwing $400 million at games and infrastructure.
It seems like they're growing. I just don't know how or what they're doing different, because I'm going to let you guys know right now, if I'm going to pick a chain based off I'm not a developer, I'm a gamer, but my experience as an end user and seeing how the games function, I'm picking AVAX. Avalanche has actually been probably my smoothest experience. Everything there has been super snappy and quick.
Big fan.
And I'm not saying this because I'm affiliated or anything with AVAX. I'm trying to be, though.
This is put this on the application.
Oh man.
I will say, Arbitrum had a nice booth at GDC and a lot of games, represented. It was right behind
or AVAX, because I know AVAX had one. I didn't hear about Arbitrum.
It was right behind the AVAX booth.
Okay. But
yeah, AVAX had an amazing booth. It was, in my opinion, the best out of all the booths at GDC, and that's including
100%.
Discord, TikTok, Meta, Epic's Unreal booth, like all of the like big brands were there. But I mean, AVAX's booth was just like, it was untouched.
I mean, they were also the third biggest booth on the show floor. They had a massive stage there.
The position was perfect.
The position was amazing.
Yeah.
Right next to the entrance.
It's funny because I actually got a picture. One of my buddies went to GDC because he works for a Web2 company that wanted to make a presence there. And he actually sent me a picture of the Avalanche booth. And he sent it to me because that's exactly why he sent it to me, because of the big banner. And I was like, you realize that's a Web3 company, right?
What do you say? That's hilarious.
He just went into talking about GDC. He didn't even touch on it, but he's a good guy. He's actually not anti-crypto. Once upon a time, he did dabble in it a little bit, but he lost his ledger. So rest in peace, my friend.
No.
Yeah, I was asking him about it. He's like, I think I got some Bitcoin or something on my ledger, and I was like, well, where's your ledger? He's like, I don't know. I was like, oh man, that's gotta hurt.
In a moving box somewhere.
He might be sitting on $1 million right now and not even realize it.
I know. Yeah. Ask him what year he bought it. That would be pretty
Actually,
telling.
it's funny because now I have to think about. Okay, I know where my ledger is. I move it. I sometimes I use it at work. Sometimes I use it at home. So sometimes I leave it at work. Sometimes I leave it at home. And then I'm like, crap. My ADHD brain is like, where did I put that? So I have to check the common places, which in this case is my side drawer. So it's there. I got mine. We're safe. Not that I'm going to lose too much. I've only got MetaOps assets for the most part. That's yeah. Rest in peace, MetaOps. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about the raises. Let me pull up my little listy list here because I saw a lot of raises and I was like, you know what? This is actually positive news because funding is clearly coming back to Web3 gaming. So I did want to touch on it. We have, drum roll, please. Gunzilla Games raising $30 million. Illuvium raising $12 million. D-Labs raising $12 million. MyPrize raising $13 million. And Bloodloop raising $4 million. Poor Bloodloop. Yeah. And then we also have, I believe it was told to me before this space, we have Parallels who raised $32 million.
35 even.
Oh, 35. Okay, so they come in at number 1 right now in terms of raises.
And Games GG announced they raised $2 million for a strategic round.
But they're not a game.
No, they're not a game, but they're in,
they have it in the name.
Yeah, I mean they're supporting Web3 gaming. They're an important group.
I do agree with that. I actually, believe it or not, I would say probably a third of my topics actually comes from Games GG. Like I really do use their news platform. I don't use a lot else. Sorry, Games GG. I love you guys. I do appreciate you, but there's so many platforms for me, like Gamerbase from Xborg. I wish I could. You know, we got BattleTech from the Own GG guys. There's so many different platforms out here trying to support Web3 gaming. I cannot keep up. I'm trying to make content. I'm trying to get into my own foot into the games world. I got my 9 to 5. I got my free NFT content. I got so much going on. I can't be going through 6, 7, 8 different websites every day trying to manage.
It's like you can't be a builder and a consumer at the same time.
I want to be though.
I know.
But they do provide very, very valuable information. They do quite big deep dives. And I did notice, and this is one thing I appreciated about Games GG. Earlier it was mentioned that people pay for these articles to be written. They actually do disclose whenever they are like sponsored or whatever at the bottom of the article. So
big props.
Big respect to Games GG. Big shout out. So $2 million to a respectable news website, in my opinion. I know they're more than news, but to me, again, that's what I use them for. So we need more of that. We need more funding going to genuine projects, regardless of whether it's just a game or more than that. So I think this is good. Good.
Yeah, it's nice to see money coming back in. I remember there was a couple months period where we didn't see, we went through 6 months of raising in Sedona. It was a grind.
But keep in mind, this is a double-edged sword because the more these games are raising, the higher expectations go from players. Because there's a lot of games right now. I mean, we see these giant raises that are happening, and then the product that comes out. I'm looking at you, Yuga Labs. You guys look, I have not been hesitant to rag on Yuga for raising over $100 million, and we get stuff like Heavy Metal or Dookie Dash and not Overworld. What's their game? Or is it Overworld?
They have something
they got their
coming,
big
though.
meta. Well, they got their big metaverse game. I confuse it often because so many names are so close to each other. Guys, you need to hire branding experts because I can easily get SEO with a unique name in a couple of weeks, and you guys have names that are so aligned, I keep confusing your projects. That's my feedback. Hire actual branding experts. And I'm not one. I'm just lucky. But their big metaverse game that I saw, all the trailers they put out, the frame rate is super low and choppy. The gameplay we have seen so far is very dull and boring. It looks like something you'd probably find in VR chat that already exists. But their tech, this is where I will give Yuga Labs credit. They have put a lot of money towards building the ability to have thousands of players in a single instance, which we haven't really seen in gaming yet. So I will give them credit on their tech, as I always do, because that is impressive. But the games that we have actually seen are so low quality, it makes me wonder how they continue to get funding for these projects.
They're seeing stuff we're not. It's the only thing you can believe.
I think it's great to see all this investment activity, and we're seeing like so many new funds like pop up and wanting to like support games. The only thing I'll say that's negative though is I'm hearing a lot of really short-term thinking and short-sighted investment strategies, and it's like they want to get in on token rounds really fast, and they want to get them out in the next 2 to 3 months. Because they think that this is going to be a very short market cycle, and they want to get in on this, and that's it. Like I'm hearing specific timelines, like by June we want to be done investing, and that's it's like it's good that they're not just believing that we're going up forever, but it's also kind of sad that they see this as a really short-term cycle that they want to take advantage of.
Good games take time.
Yeah.
Look, I'm the one that's usually like, look at the Web 2 indie scene and look how quickly they're turning them out. Well, they also have much smaller teams. They're much more streamlined, and they have a lot more flexibility than these very large, like you have to work with like probably 20 other teams to even get one asset in a game, for example. So I would like to believe that these are long-term plays. But at the same time, I also understand the investor side because we are seeing more and more games come out with less and less dev time from smaller and smaller teams with less and less funding. So it's so hard. Like Pow World, again, I've used it before. They started with $10 million, eventually raised $7 million, and managed to make something that absolutely took off, ended up with like 27 million players or something like that worldwide. And we have these teams raising $50+ million. They're taking years to even put out a demo, and then they maybe get 100 or 200 genuine players. Obviously, there's a botting problem in Web3, but that botting problem isn't Web3 exclusive. Certain Web2 games also have that problem, so take that as you will. But I don't know. I want to see more people try to cater to that short-term mentality by putting a genuine product out that can get them revenue so they don't have to rely on VC funding. I think relying on VC funding is a double-edged sword. Like, yeah, it's great in the short term, but then you're kind of beholden to bringing their profits back or they can pull the plug, right? So yeah. I want to see both sides kind of have a shift. So developers try to streamline their process, try to get a little bit quicker turnaround time. I'm not saying rush things out, but like maybe narrow down the scope a bit. I feel like some projects start a little too ambitious. And I think the first finger I would point in terms of ambitious projects, Star Atlas. They are absolutely trying to build a sci-fi sandbox experience that would rival anything we've seen in Web 2, but we've also seen them have to lay off a lot of staff due to runway concerns and not being able to continuously bring in VC funding. Well, if you had something smaller scope that you could monetize and start getting players into and they enjoy it and they have fun, you can start using the money from players to fund your project instead of just relying wholly on VC funding, right? So I feel like more games need to have a short and long-term strategy rather than only focusing on the long-term. And I can tell you, I've been talking to a couple of studios and they are starting to pick up on this. They're talking about, oh, we'll make a mini game for mobile. And then I ask them, okay, well, what are you doing? And sorry, Exterio Games, I know you guys are trying, but Age of Dinos is not it. Not it. I saw that trailer and I was like, oh my God. Like, I get it. It's a mini game. It's a mini game. But to call it a mini game even felt generous, because it felt more like something somebody threw together in Fiverr in 10 minutes. I don't. I'm sorry. There's a way to go about it, and that doesn't feel like it. That feels like we're getting a lot of lashback because we haven't released anything. Let's hurry up and just rush something out. Whereas the project I'm talking to, I can't say anything because nothing's official. They're talking about building a mobile game to kind of mimic an existing market and put their own spin on it. And I'm like, I could see this. And of course, they would try to monetize it. Mobile games, you got to find a way to monetize it somehow. And that would start getting them that revenue from the mobile market to support their main project, right? So they do have a short and long-term plan that they're working on. I want to see more of that. So you're catering to your investors in the short term, but you're also setting yourself up for success in the long term. Just a thought for, for anybody building a game. Now,
well, Amazon started with shoes, and look at them now. I'm sure they always had that overarching view, or sorry, not shoes, books. So they always had the overarching view, but then when they went to pitch to VCs and were initially building the project, it was just books. Like, do something small and then scale from there, but always have that big vision.
I'm curious because I know Graslow, you guys don't have like any mini game or short term like introduction plan, do you?
Well, so we have a playable demo out now. That's an early slice. Yeah. But I mean, we're not monetizing it.
You're not. Do you have any runway concerns though?
No. I mean, so we're in a good spot right now. We're moving some things behind the scenes. So yeah, I can't really say. But I mean, no, we don't have concerns. We're happy.
Well, as long as you got a game plan, that's all that matters. But are you relying on VC funding?
So currently,
relying on VC funding.
So we have a 5-year plan, but I mean, we have ambitions to be, around for a very long time.
I know you guys do. So I'm not worried about it. I'm just curious from a founder's perspective, because now I'm going to bring it over to Bram and basically ask you the same thing. Like with Forgotten Playland, what's going on? Do you guys have a short and long-term goal? Are you guys kind of taking that approach? Or are you hoping the main product is just good enough and the premise is there that the VCs are like, you know what, sold?
I mean, yeah, we did have our seed round, of course, that we're using to build this game. But at the same time, we're bringing it out next month already. So we're building a party game, right? I mean, we have a bigger vision, first of all. But we're building party games, and those can be very small, and you can churn those out in a more rapid succession. So in a way, our game on itself is both a long-term and short-term solution as like a package.
I could see that. That's actually smart too. I didn't think about that. And I think that is kind of what we've seen a few people do when you think about it, like Pixel, Sandbox, all these games where UGC is kind of like the big draw. They just kind of put out the tools and let players build the game around those tools. So
yeah, and that as well. I mean, there's so many possibilities, and of course with other projects, and I mean, we can look behind their scenes or what their long-term things are, but in a way it's also very dependent on kind of the project you're building on itself. Because I mean, obviously, if you're going to build this massive MMO or whatever you're trying to build, you can create these offshoot things for some more short-term kind of sentiment and those kind of turnovers. But they also require a lot of extra effort to put them out to begin with. So unless it actually brings something positive to the overall IP or project that you're building, in a way, it's also just a waste of money and time to first create this small thing that you're kind of gonna disregard at some point anyway, in order to keep on focusing on that big term thing.
Yeah,
that actually makes sense.
I did want to add something about Forgotten Playland. So Mikkel challenged me to play the game at GDC. It was playable at the AVAX booth. And I will say, like, when I got to my PC, like when I got home from GDC, I went to your website and tried to download the game and saw that it's not available, which is just...
No, you were one of the first. GDC was actually just the first time we had outsiders being able to play the game.
Oh,
so,
super fun,
yeah.
though.
So you're telling me is next year I need to go to GDC so I can get the exclusive scoop on games that haven't been playable before?
Who knows?
That's
That's it.
it.
Maybe one of these years I'll make it. But so before we wrap things up, I know that there's stuff going on in the background, so I'll give you guys a quick opportunity to talk about what you're working on. Graslow, I'm just gonna let you say it. I'm not gonna steal your thunder.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a big announcement by next week, and this is the announcement of that announcement. So I'm breaking that here.
The teaser.
So
of the teaser.
I get to say it still because he failed to actually say it. Make sure you guys are following Oldor on Twitter
Yeah.
so you can keep up to date and be in the loop whenever they announce their he already announced the announcement. So when they actually do the announcement.
Do that.
Started confusing myself there. And of course, Mikhail and Bram, you guys are working on the same thing. Give us the lowdown. What's going on right now with Forgotten Playland?
Go
Pass
ahead.
it to Bram. Oh,
Pat-
man. Yeah, I'm passing it.
You're-
Can't you see? I don't know. Maybe I'm. You go. You've been working on this baby for forever now.
Mikhail's like, I'm the newbie.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'll
but
talk about it, but I
she
wanna
is
give
the
you-
marketing one. No, but
Okay.
anyway.
Don't. Okay, here we go.
Anyway, yeah. So as I've said before, we're building Forgotten Playland that's coming out next month, in less than a month, the 25th of April, with at least 5 party games and a social hub where you can meet up with your friends and dive into games. And it's like a whole nostalgic playground filled with plushies that you can customize. And in order to customize, we launched our first collection today, 4 hours ago, live on the Beam subnet. So you can go to our website, forgottenplayland.com, check out the visuals, check out the collection, and try to get your hands on some cosmetics if you want to pimp yourself up once the game releases.
What's the Twitter handle?
The Twitter handle is at forgotplayland.
You gotta really promote the socials.
See,
there.
and that's why I said Mikhail. I'm not
I
used
know.
to this, especially with a camera in my face. This is the first time. I'm just panicking here.
Are
Well,
you all-
all I want to say about the game is that I beat Bram the first time I played. That's literally all I want to say. It's fantastic because I'm good at it. No.
I'm just a social person because me personally, I am much faster to go to your Twitter than I am directly to the website. And then from the Twitter, I will click on the link tree or the website or whatever from there. That's me
you get
personally.
the vibes from Twitter. And then
That's
you
true.
deep
You should
dive.
leave them off immediately. So yeah, at Forgot Playland, because that's the max character number that we can use.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning to go to console? Is that in the works?
That is on the long-term plans, but I mean, blockchain, they're still not very friendly. That's why I'm also curious how Gonzilla is gonna approach their console release.
Yeah.
We're keeping a close eye out. But yeah, we want to be everywhere. Mobile is also on the plans. Nothing officially announced yet. We're launching on PC, Windows first, and slowly building from there.
So I don't know how much you guys have looked into it as far as console release. From my experience talking to certain other games, not Gonzilla, I'm not famous enough to get them on the show or anything, but basically the way that the console releases are working is they're Web 2 on the front end and all the Web 3 is managed through the website. So like you would have to transfer. Yeah, you'd basically transfer your asset to your game account from desktop. So essentially it's Web 2 on console, but it is tied to Web 3 on the back end through whatever account system they may be using. So I don't know if that's an option for you guys, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
some ideas. Spitballing.
No, we had the game's fantastic and we had such a fun time showing it and the reactions. I know for them it was much more, exciting, but it validated for me that like I made the right choice, in terms of team. And it's a Web 2 studio that's partnered with Merit Circle, right? So they have the whole Merit Circle and Beam ecosystem behind them. They're really pushing them hard. And I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised. I think it's a Web 2 ready game. I think Web 2 audiences will really fall in love with this. So excited to show you guys. Excited for April 25th.
Well, before I do my wrap up, because I ragged on wax so much, apparently there's some things from Splinterlands that are involved with wax, which I'm not aware of. The only thing I know about Splinterlands is all the complaints that I see about the community about decisions that they make. So I'm not even sure Splinterlands is necessarily the healthiest example to use. But okay, cool. There's something on wax that at least is notable enough that I know.
Splinterlands is a really popular game, and it's been around a while, so it has a big user base.
Yeah, it's just not my kind of game. You guys know me. TCGs, unless you're Parallels, I'm over TCGs. I love Parallels because it's the sci-fi theme, and they've got like cinematic intros and stuff like that, and they're expanding the universe. But other than that, sorry guys, not a TCG player. I'm actually more interested in the Parallels universe because I know that they're not just doing a TCG. There's more down the pipes, so I need to get them back on the show, to be honest. That being said, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm sure people got stuff to do with their day. I seem to have lost my little outro script, so I'm going to try to wing it here. Thank you guys for joining us. This is another episode, a great episode of The Block Sauce. But, of course, we're now going to come to a close. Before we do, I want to say thank you for all of our panelists who joined us today. Graslow, Mikkel, Bram, thank you for taking time out of your week. Again, thank you to all of our viewers and supporters. Your passion... See, this is why I need a script because I forget the cliff notes.
Your passion keeps us going.
Yes, your passion keeps us going.
Something like that.
Yeah, something around those lines. But that's going to be it for us today, Sauce Enthusiasts. Remember, stick around. Follow us on social medias. I haven't gotten the green light to start promoting the website again, so we're not going to be doing the little blinky website still. Eventually, Rod's going to tell me when we're good. We're working on a new website, like a big overhaul. It's supposed to be really cool, but... follow us on Twitter and keep an eye out for that. So thank you guys for joining. See you next time, Sauce Enthusiast. Have a good one.
See ya.